This investigation is at a long history of FBI's attack on the civil rights movement, on the black liberation movement, on the sanctuary Latin American solidarity movement, on the Irish Republicans, on the Puerto Rican independence movement, on the American Indian movement, and most recently on the Arab and Muslim community. The tactics are the same. There is no difference. We're talking about intimidation. We're talking about informers. We're talking about the U.S. Justice Department trying to intimidate us from protecting and defending the oppressed people in the United States and around the world. Are we going to let them do that? The only thing that's different now is that the target for this investigation, if you look at the 14 people that have been subpoenaed, it's everyone from anti-war activists, union organizers, student organizers, Colombian and now Palestine activists. It's all a reflection of all you people out here. There's probably over 50 organizations that are here represented. And each one of you, no matter where you are from the progressive movement, you are a target of this investigation. You are a threat to national security, according to the FBI and the U.S. Justice Department. So we are all going to stand with the 14 who have been subpoenaed because any of us have done nothing different than any of the things that they have done. So the first people I want to introduce are Sarah Smith and Maureen Murphy, who are two of the 9 that have been subpoenaed and also refused to talk at the grand jury investigation today.
We just want to thank everyone for coming out today to support all 9 of us that are supposed to appear in front of the grand jury today. All 9 of us refused. Thank you for coming out on such a cold day. One question I wanted to bring up real briefly that I keep getting asked is, do you regret going on your trip to Palestine? Because that's why I'm being subpoenaed. And I want to just say, of course I do not regret going to Palestine. And I plan to continue political work because I was subpoenaed. And it's people like you that are encouraging me to stand up and speak out. And so thank you so much for encouraging me.
I also want to reiterate Sarah's appreciation for every single person who turned out here in Chicago today. And I think all the thousands of people who turned out all around the country today know that it is not just about the 23 of us who are facing the grand jury, but this is the right of all of us to organize, to speak out, and to basically exercise the First Amendment rights that we were told, that we were taught as children in our schools, that are our most basic and cherished rights. And we know, I am very optimistic because of the great turnout today, that our movements for justice will be even stronger in the end, despite this test by the United States government and this grand jury and FBI fishing expedition repression. Thank you, everybody, and we'll keep on struggling.
January 25th, simultaneous protests happening all over the United States, downtown Chicago and the South Side, Federal Plaza, where peace activists in the Twin Cities who were raided on the 24th.
Well, Maureen, can you tell us what's happening today and give us a little context?
So today, 9 people, including myself, were summoned to testify before a grand jury here in this building in Chicago. And all 9 of us have stated our refusal to participate in what we're calling a grand jury fishing expedition. And you'll see all these folks behind me. We declared a national day of action, so people all around the country in more than 50 cities, and including also some cities abroad, people are hitting the streets and they're raising their voices to stand up associate, and we're here to send a strong message that our movements will not be intimidated, and we will not let this repression happen quietly.
So you were, at some point, subpoenaed to testify today, but were you raided on September 24th? No.
No. The FBI came to my door on December 21st, and when I declined to talk with them, they handed me a subpoena to appear before the grand jury today. And the subpoena says nothing on it, so it's just basically a piece of paper that has a court date, court time, and courtroom. And that's part of why we think this is a fishing expedition, is that they clearly want us to come and name names of people that we know here in the United States who we work with in the movements, and also people that we know in places that we travel to, like the occupied West Bank, and for those who have traveled there in Colombia. And we've already...
You traveled to Palestine. Have you traveled to Colombia as well?
No, I haven't. I spent a lot of time in the Middle East.
So they didn't raid your homes, but they gave you summons to testify.
Correct.
And when you refused to testify, what then? What happened then?
Basically, I think we're going to be put on hold. Like a lot of the 14 activists who were subpoenaed in September have been put on hold after they stated their refusal to testify. Of course, as you know, the subpoenas for 3 women in the Palestine solidarity movement in the Twin Cities have had their subpoenas reactivated. So it's likely that when they're given a court date, they will be faced with the choice of testifying or going being detained for civil contempt of court and being put in jail potentially for the life of the grand jury.
Are you worried that could happen to you, that you could be levied such a fine?
Well, there's certainly repercussions for not testifying before a grand jury, and the grand jury has long been used by the United States government as a mechanism for interning political activists. So it's been used to round up activists and put them in jail for no crime against every political movement working towards justice in this country.
As far as you know, no one actually testified before the grand jury today, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, so far, none of the 23 people who have been summoned to testify have participated in the grand jury fishing expedition.
And how many people are here, you think, here at Federal Plaza in Chicago, if you had to guess?
We've expanded the capacity of the little plaza here, so we're thinking that there might be like 300 people here.
300?
My name is Smith. We're all here protesting because today is January 25th. It's the date that 9 new people were subpoenaed to appear in front of the grand jury, including myself. All 9 of us refused to testify today. We invoked our 5th Amendment right and refused to participate. And so all these people are here to support us. There's hundreds of people that have come from different cities and also Chicago to stand with us to basically tell the government that we're not going to stand for these subpoenas.
When did you receive summons to testify yourself?
I was actually originally contacted on December 3rd. Yeah, December 3rd is when the FBI called my cell phone. I was told on that date I would receive a subpoena, and I didn't receive a subpoena until last Tuesday. So they waited over a month to actually deliver it.
So you weren't raided in September?
No, the recent 9 of us were not raided at all. It was just some of the first 14.
And at what point did you refuse to testify, and what happened subsequently?
I refused to testify by letter, and so no one actually showed up here today. Many of us wrote letters, or our lawyers wrote letters, and we signed them, basically saying we refuse to testify and participate today.
Has there been any repercussion at all?
Not yet. Hopefully there won't be.
And I mean, why do you think the FBI is targeting you?
Of what little they told me over the phone, I'm being targeted because I went on a trip to Palestine and Israel last summer in August of 2010. I went on this trip because I'm a Jewish American. I've always wanted to go to Israel and Palestine, and instead of going on the free birthright trip, I decided to go on a trip that would take me to both Israel and Palestine so I could see both what was happening in both Israel and in Palestine.
Tell me about your experience. What did you do? What did you find out? What were your impressions?
We met with NGOs mostly. It was an educational trip. There's about 7 of us on the trip. shocking to me whatsoever. My two Palestinian American friends, on the other hand, were detained at the airport for 10+ hours simply because their grandparents were born in Ramla, which is now a city in, well, it's been taken over and renamed, but it's part of Israel.
Your reactions in general to the FBI, to the government targeting the solidarity activists with Palestine and Colombia?
Well, I think it's outrageous, but they've obviously widened their scope. I'm not a political activist. The only thing I did was travel to Palestine and Israel. Many Jewish Americans have done it, which just proves that if I can be targeted, any Jewish American who's been to Palestine and in Israel could be targeted as well.
So you're not involved with some of the peace activists who have been to Colombia, or those who were active and organizing against the Republican National Congress?
I've met some of, I've met everyone by now.
Yeah.
I didn't know everybody before. My dad is a political activist, and so I've known people through him over the years. And I've gotten more involved politically since coming back because of my trip, and mostly because I was subpoenaed. So instead of, I guess, hindering the movement, they've actually encouraged me to participate.
So you've met the others in Chicago and in the Twin Cities as well?
Correct.
As a result of the subpoenas?
Yes.
You've become closer to them as a result of the subpoenas?
Yes. And I was very close to my two Palestinian American friends to begin with, but now we see each other on a weekly basis as like a, you know, supporting morale type of a thing.
So no one actually testified today?
No one did.
The Palestinian American friends who were subpoenaed, are they here as well?
As far as I know, all 9 of us are here. Only myself and Maureen are public with our identities. The other 7 are remaining anonymous.
So they're not speaking to the press, obviously?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, kind of an obvious answer to the question, but why? Why not?
Most of them are Palestinian Americans.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because there's so much, I guess, Islamophobia, I mean, it's a lot easier for them to, you know, remain anonymous, even though they didn't do anything wrong.
Get messed up, right? That's a terrible thing. My name is Justin Sharkey. I'm the Vice President of the Chicago Teachers Union. It's SHARKEY for the FBI and the cops who are listening. I want to make sure you get it right. And I make a joke, but it actually brings me to my first point, which is that really the first tragedy of this kind of FBI repression is the fear and the mistrust that it produces in our movements, in the labor movement, among people who want to fight for justice. And we have to say, first of all, that we will not give in to that fear, that our unity provides us with confidence and inspiration to continue to stand for what we believe in, and we won't give in to the fear. And in that spirit, I just am happy to report that the Chicago Teachers Union's delegates body, which had 598 members in attendance, took a vote to give solidarity with the FBI activists. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing it. And that vote, I'm happy to report, was many for, none against, with one abstention. We're teachers. One guy got to abstain, but that is really an inspirational vote, and it shows that if we don't let fear and doubt enter into our calculations, people will stand together. The second point that I'd like to make is that the attempt to silence activists is constant throughout our history. You can go back and you can look at the labor movement in the way that the Haymarket martyrs in Chicago who fought for the 8-hour day were silenced, and how they attempted to put the 8-hour day to actually, what they didn't want to bury with just as activists, what they wanted to bury was the 8-hour day movement. And we were not, and had we been unwilling to continue to fight, the 8-hour day movement would have been buried. But we weren't. We kept fighting. That we buried some people for that. Hopefully, that is part of our history, standing up to that kind of repression and fighting. And so what I want to say is that we should be very clear that the mechanism that they use to come after us changes. And today, it's terrorism. And today, it's the fear around the war on terror, around 9/11, and we have have to say that that has left many victims, many innocent people who've done nothing wrong are being painted with that brush, are being victimized by that war on terror, and we have to stand against it on principle. Now, teachers also, public sector workers also, are now at the sharp end of an ideological stick, right? In which we're being blamed for the problems of the inner city, we're being blamed for economic malaise, we're being blamed for the problems of education. And so it's incumbent for us to stick together. And I'll just wrap up on this point, is that I would like to see the time when the investigations in society investigate the billionaires who write $250,000 checks to undue collective bargaining rights, whose initiatives bring destruction to the rights of workers in the city, who are part of funding initiatives to slash budgets, to slash social service programs, and we should ask ourselves, what are the investigations for the people on Wall Street who make hundreds of millions of dollars, for the $11 billion of bonuses that were given this year alone? But until there's investigations of those folks, and those folks are brought to justice, our side has to sit together, and so solidarity, I'm glad to be here. Thank you. We'll keep this fight going.
Honored to be able to stand here out in the cold today and against this injustice that's taking place against our brothers and sisters. But there's a verse in the Quran that reads, in Arabic, it reads, "Asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khayrun lakum," which basically means don't have hatred for something that in the end could be good for you. And we're already seeing the fruits of this. We're already seeing that this is actually good because it's brought us closer to one another as activists. It's made us realize the importance of our brotherhood, being comrades, and what we stand up against. But we also have to realize that this goes in line, historically speaking, with anybody that has stood against injustice. They're following the script, just like the other speakers have mentioned. You know, Martin Luther King faced the same injustice. Nelson Mandela. I could go on. Many activists have received the same type of treatment. And we know, you know, for example, Martin Luther King in his letter from a Birmingham jail, where I'll paraphrase because I don't know the exact quote, but he goes on to say that a citizen who defies a law that is unjust is a better citizen than is one that just stands on the side and just watches it happen. And in the end, even though he went to jail, even though activists like Martin Luther King sat in a jail cell,